Hey everyone, wishing you a Merry Christmas. Today is Monday, December 22nd, 2025. And we're going to be commuting back to Grand Central Terminal from the Upper West Side of Manhattan. We're currently on the corner of 68th Street and Amsterdam Avenue. We're going to be seeing a few interesting buildings along the way. We're also going to be exploring the one and only Lincoln Center. Now, the Upper West Side is one of my favorite neighborhoods in New York City, and that's mainly because it has some of my favorite buildings from some of my all-time favorite architects. I would say probably the most recognizable building on the Upper West Side of Manhattan would have to be the Dakota. Now, the Dakota was the first apartment building constructed on the Upper West Side. And the reason why they called it the Dakota, is because at the time it was so far away from everything else. They were kind of joking around and saying, you might as well live in the Dakotas because it's so far away. Now, that building was helped constructed in terms of the architecture by Henry Hardingberg, and that is the same architect who did the Plaza Hotel. A little bit of a fun fact. Obviously, the beautiful address is right on 72nd Street in Central Park West. Has beautiful Central Park frontage, and it's very close to Strawberry Fields. Now, Strawberry Fields in Central Park is the place where they honor the former Beatles member, John Lennon, who was horrendously murdered right outside of his apartment at the Dakota. This building that you see here is going to be just a massive, massive construction project. Oftentimes we'll talk about the developer Extel. Extel, I would say, is one of the most active real estate developers in New York City. You might know them from Billionaires Row. The first building ever constructed on Billionaires Row is 157. Then they went on to do the tallest building on Billionaires Row, which is Central Park Tower at 217 West 57th Street. And now they're starting to encroach on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. They already have a brand new, beautiful building that's going to sit right at the corner here with Central Park frontage. But they also bought this building with all the scaffolding around it from ABC, and they're going to completely demolish it, and the building is going to stand over 1,000 feet tall. I think it's going to be like 1,200 feet tall. So you have one of the Extel buildings right here. It is 50 West 66th Street. Some of the balconies are park facing, and you can overlook Central Park, see all the way to the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Now, I will say, there is some controversy about this, because when you think about the Upper West Side, you think about those pre-war buildings, right? You think about the buildings like the Dakota, you think about the beautiful San Remo, you think about the Beresford, right? Those gorgeous works of art, those classic Emery Roth buildings. But you're starting to see more of the modernist architecture that you see on the facade of 157 by Christian de Potsdam Park. You see that modernist architecture from Central Park Tower sort of encroaching on the Upper West Side. And that has a lot of residents here a little bit worried, a little bit upset that the new age of real estate developers could potentially be destroying the architectural significance and integrity of the neighborhoods. Now, I'm a little bit torn on this, I will be honest, because I never want to stifle innovation, but at the same time, if you've ever taken a walk through the Upper West Side during the holidays, particularly right around Halloween, how gorgeous the brownstones are decorated. You never really want to see that stuff go away, and much of it won't, right? Because many of those buildings are historically protected. But do you want those big glass buildings encroaching on the, dare I say, vibes of the Upper West Side. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments on what you think. It is a big talk and cause for controversy right now in the Upper West. In any event, we're now on 65th Street. We're going to merge onto Broadway now, and we're going to have a really spectacular view of Lincoln Center. This is one of my favorite parts of the city, by the way. This is right as you were to transition from the Upper West Side all the way down into Midtown Manhattan. This will take you to Columbus Circle. I am getting a little bit fatigued, though, of the scaffolding. So let's go ahead and cross the street and get away from some of the scaffolding. It seems like every single building on the Upper West Side is completely cloaked in scaffolding. Now, there is a reason for this. As I've stated, many of the buildings on the Upper West are old, right? Pre-war. Some of them are from the 1920s, maybe even earlier. And the city has mandatory facade restorations, and for good reason, right? Because if the facades of these buildings are brick and mortar, limestone, they're very old, pieces of limestone or brick could come loose and fall, 10 stories to the ground, potentially hitting a pedestrian and killing them, unfortunately. So I understand why it needs to be done. However, it seems as if these pieces of scaffolding stay up in perpetuity, because there's no urgency for the owners of these buildings to actually do the work. As long as they put the scaffolding up, the city gets off their back and they never have to do the work. So that's why you see this scaffolding could be up there for years, 10 years. We're now looking at Lincoln Center. Lincoln Center is so beautiful. Now, I'll give you guys a tip. I haven't mentioned this tip in a long time, and I know we have a lot of new viewers here. If you're visiting the city during the summer, particularly in August, I would highly, highly recommend that you come to Lincoln Center, because they have free operas right in that open space. They set up this tremendous jumbotron. It's like a grandstand right in the middle of Lincoln Center. They have a bunch of folding chairs. They sell, drinks. They sell a bunch of stuff. And you can enjoy an opera right here at Lincoln Center for free. So imagine sitting out in the summer. There's hundreds of folding chairs. They have this tremendous television screen that's projecting the opera. You can come and watch the sunset and enjoy the opera for free. So keep that in mind. Maybe do some research into that if you're planning on coming to New York City for the summer of 2026. That's one of the things that I enjoy doing most. We're now walking past the Hotel Empire here. And the time is 5:22 p.m. It's about 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And yesterday was the shortest day of the year. It was also the first day of winter. So the good news is the days are going to grow longer from here on out. If we were to make a right here under the scaffolding, this will take you to the main entrance of the hotel. I've stayed here before. It's not bad. I also really like the Christmas lights that they've hung from the tree here. A lot of the coffee shops are packed. All right, a few things to point out here. We're headed southbound on Broadway, and we're about to come up to the intersection of 62nd Street and Broadway. One of my favorite buildings in the entire city. I should clarify, one of my favorite residential buildings in the entire city sits on 61st and 62nd Street in between Central Park West and Broadway. Now, the building's name is the Limestone Jesus, and it started construction in 2005, and they finished construction on the Limestone Jesus in 2008 during the depths of the 2008 financial crisis. You can see the building right here. Now, one would think, right, New York City, financial capital of the world, 2008 financial crisis, they finished the condos here. It's probably not going to sell well. Well, it was actually the opposite. It was one of the best-selling buildings in the history of the city, and it achieved record price per square foot because it was built for the 1%, the elites. It's one of the most exclusive buildings not only in New York City, but in the entire world. There's a laundry list of ultra-high net worth individuals and hedge fund and Wall Street titans that have once called this address home and still do. For example, if you've heard of the Wall Street mega bank Goldman Sachs, the former CEO of Goldman Sachs, Lloyd Blankfein, has an unbelievable unit at 15 Central Park West with gorgeous Central Park frontage, a balcony that wraps around the entire perimeter of the building, overlooking the Upper East Side of Manhattan and Billionaires Row. You also have the hedge fund manager Daniel Loeb has a great unit there. But my favorite story is the former CEO of Citigroup. Now, he doesn't live there anymore, but I think he paid about $42 million for his apartment, and he resold it to a Russian oligarch for a cool $88 million. And yes, that is Sandy Weil, the former CEO of Citigroup. We're now looking down into Columbus Circle, and you're going to start to see the skyline really come alive here. You can see Central Park Tower, 220 Central Park South, and of course this big black building that we're looking at. That is the Trump International Hotel and Tower at 1 Central Park West, which used to be an office building. Trump converted it from an office building into residences and condominiums. There's also a retail tenant in there, Jean Georges. It does get quite windy here, though. We'll wait for the light and then we'll go ahead and cross, because I want to show you the main entrance to 15 Central Park West. If you were to continue walking, you would hit right into the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, which is in the Deutsche Bank Center, formerly known as the AOL Time Warner Center. The big debate in New York City luxury is between, do you like the limestone facade or do you like the glass facade? Of course, one of my other favorite limestone buildings is 220 Central Park South, which is another Robert A.M. Stern beautiful building. But here is the main valet entrance. of 15 Central Park West. As you may notice, there's two buildings. You have the taller building on Broadway, and then you have the much shorter building that sits right on Central Park West. If you're going to buy a unit here, I would highly suggest and recommend that you stick with the shorter building that has direct Central Park frontage. I think the biggest selling point of this building are the views, because not only do you have unobstructed views of Central Park, but you're looking up and you see every single building on Billionaires Row. All the interesting architecture at 432 Park Avenue, Steinway Tower, 157, 220 Central Park South, Central Park Tower, and you could even see 520 Park Avenue, which is another Zeckendorf building. So you could be sitting in the Zeckendorf development building at 15 Central Park West and looking over to the second one at 520 Park. And here we are at the main front entrance of the Trump International Hotel and Tower. But I want to zoom in on 157 and show you something, because this is actually very rare. If you look at these two floors with all the lights on, that is a duplex apartment. And that is Bill Ackman's apartment, who is the CEO and founder of Pershing Square. It's there's a pool in that apartment. There's like this beautiful winter garden. And if you look at the two units that are lit up all the way at the top, that's another duplex that is occupied by Michael Dell on the 89th and 90th floors. However, I think I'd prefer Bill Ackman's unit more, because I'd much rather be on a little bit of a lower floor than have those helicopter views all the way at the top. But it looks like Bill Ackman is home doing something. Probably having maybe a holiday party. Here you have the Jean George. Again, this is 1 Central Park West. So there's three main doors. You have the restaurant. The door in the middle is the hotel. And then the last door is the residences. It's funny, at one time, Donald Trump owned the address 1 Central Park South and 1 Central Park West. Obviously, 1 Central Park South being the Plaza Hotel. Since we have the light, we'll go ahead and make our way around Columbus Circle and start to head down to Central Park South. This is the Columbus Circle Holiday Market. That's similar to, the Union Square Holiday Market. It's definitely a festive vibe here. I always like to observe people walking around the city and stopping and taking photos, because it is really awe-inspiring if you think about it. Obviously, if you live here and you see it every day, you can become acclimated to your environment, but it's really incredible. Here's the Holiday Market directory map.
Are you lost?
the city does a really good job with all of this. One of the things I like to do is just look up towards all the hotels and see how many lights are on. That way I can kind of gauge the occupancy. And the city is buzzing. Really starts to pick up by Columbus Circle.
The doctors that you guys have.
I think we'll go ahead and make this left on 58th Street because I want to show you the main valet entrance to 220 Central Park South. There's also two buildings technically in the development. There's the big one that you see towering 950 feet above Central Park, but you also have this smaller building which sits right on Central Park South, and that is where they have the villa apartments. This is another limestone building that was done by Robert A.M. Stern, who's one of my favorite architects ever. He unfortunately passed away on Thanksgiving Day this year, but he definitely left his mark on New York City. And here you have it. This is 220 Central Park South. And those are the villas. This building right in the front. Citadel Securities and Citadel hedge fund manager Ken Griffin has a really nice place here. I love it. This is one of my favorite buildings in the city. I think I still like 15 Central Park West a little bit better, mainly because if I'm going to live here, it's just a little bit too busy. I think I want to feel like I'm living more of in a residential neighborhood, and once you get up to Central Park West, you get that feeling a little bit. This is a nice classic car. I always forget what the model is. So maybe if anybody's a car fanatic, let me know what kind of vehicle this is. You're going to have another stunning building right here. This is called Alwyn Court. If you love architecture, chances are you're going to love this building. It sits right on the corner of 58th Street and 7th, adjacent the New York Athletic Club. And I love the juxtaposition here because you have the old architecture with the new architecture in the background of 157 and the Steinway Tower. See all those lights in the distance? That's Times Square. You're looking right down into Times Square to One Times Square. And in terms of scaffolding, we do have some good news, as the scaffolding is finally coming off the facade of the wonderful Carnegie Hall. We just passed the Bar Cliff, and now we'll pass the entrance of 157. So the building that I showed you, the duplex, that is this building. So you have two main entrances. The first awning right here are the residences at 157. The second awning is the Park Hyatt Hotel. We've now just passed the Park Hyatt. We're headed eastbound on 57th Street. From here you have a really nice shot of 432 Park Avenue. This is Angelo's Coal Oven Pizza. This is the entrance, the 57th Street entrance to 111 West 57th Street, Steinway Tower. This is the original Steinway Hall. Now there's apartments in the original Steinway building.
Good.
Yes, that's not it. It's not
There's a whole procedure for doing it, but I always go.
Okay, now we're on the corner of 57th Street and 6th Avenue. We're going to continue east. As we walk down 57th Street, we'll pass right in front of the Aman New York, which is inside the Crown Building. This is also by Nobu. One thing I'm going to miss about the holiday season are the candy canes on 57th Street. It's one of my favorite holiday displays. Also, the star that hangs in the middle of 57th Street and 5th. Now, Tiger Global, which is one of the most successful hedge funds ever, founded by Chase Coleman, is right in this building with all the candy canes. And Tiger Global is what you would consider a tiger cub. So the founder of hedge funds, who created them, Julian Robertson, all of the different PMs and analysts that he would hire, which are the best of the best, when they would break off and start their own hedge funds, those would be called the Tiger Cubs. We're now going to walk directly in front of the main entrance to Aman, New York. This is one of the most expensive hotels in New York City. And of course, this is in the Crown Building. Speaking of Wall Street, one of the greatest stock traders of all time, Jesse Livermore, used to have an office right here inside the Crown Building. Beautiful entrance, and it smells great. They have some sort of fragrance. We'll now cross the street to the side of the main Tiffany flagship. My all-time favorite is the Dior windows. Look at how beautiful that is. It's a gingerbread theme this year. We're now on the corner of Madison Avenue and 57th Street. This building that you see just off to the left, this is the Four Seasons Hotel on Billionaires Row. This was closed down for almost 4 years. This is the first year that it's back open again, and they're going to condominiumize some of the units, so you'll be able to purchase condos inside the Four Seasons if you want, but they're going to be on lower floors. This is 57th and Park Avenue now. You have the Aston Martin showroom. But since we're here, I'll also show you the entrance of 432 Park. This building that you see right here is 425 Park Avenue. This is one of the most state-of-the-art office buildings in New York City. And a little bit further down by the MetLife building is where they've just completed 270 Park Avenue. This is the Phillips Auction House, and they have this tremendous Christmas present here. Look at how cool that is. Love that. For some reason, the outdoor space, the public space by 432 Park is currently closed. But here is the main entrance. So you have the two revolving doors. And you could really get an idea of the 10-foot by 10-foot windows. Now, the idea to do the 10-foot by 10-foot windows was by the architect Raphael Vignoli. Raphael Vignoli also has another project down in Lower Manhattan. I actually really like the entrance at 432 Park. It seems very elegant. Just classic white marble. What do you think?
Shopping for the gala dresses to not happen.
Oh wow, this is a great shot. 270 Park. It's the brand new JP Morgan Chase office tower. It's a stunning building. Wow. Now, what's even cooler, in my opinion, is this view of 432 Park, because you could see the Phillips retail, but you also have this unique shot of the entire facade of the building. Now, 432 Park was built on the old site of the Drake Hotel. The developer is Harry Macklow, architect Raphael Vignoli. This is now East 55th Street and Park Avenue. And the building that you see lit up in blue is the Hemsley building. And the building right behind it is the MetLife building. Another cool fact is that Ferrari is going to move their showroom into the retail unit at 425 Park. You can see the Ferrari logo there. This is going to look incredible. And what an amazing place to put a Ferrari showroom, because 425 Park is the temporary headquarters of Citadel. That's one of the most successful quantitative hedge funds and market makers, Citadel Securities. And the people that work there make a pretty penny to be able to afford a Ferrari. So perhaps as they get their year-end bonus, they can go window shopping in the retail unit of their office. Now, my all-time favorite office building in the city is coming up. It's this, it's the Seagram building. And the reason why I like the Seagram building so much is because it's built further away from the street, and it has these two amazing fountains that they drain every holiday season and put real Christmas trees. So it also smells fantastic. You'll be able to see it here in just a moment. The building we're passing right now is 399 Park. And for whatever reason, I love the lobby in here. It's like this cream-colored lobby. It's gorgeous. Look at it. I really just like the skyline on Park Avenue. Now, here are those Christmas trees I was talking about in front of the Seagram building. So they drain these two fountains. As we continue on down, this is 52nd Street. We're about to pass the offices of Blackstone. Blackstone is a private equity giant founded by Stephen Schwarzman. Now, Stephen Schwarzman also made a massive donation to the New York Public Library, hence the name the Stephen Schwarzman Building. This building right here is the brand new Waldorf Astoria Hotel and Residences. It's absolutely stunning in there. It's one of my favorite Art Deco buildings by far. This is now 50th Street. And coming into view, you'll be able to see the Waldorf Astoria.
I didn't tell you what I did to him yesterday. I told him on the radio.
And there you can see the base of 270 Park. Which this by far is my favorite modern office building on Park Avenue. Okay, everyone, we'll end it with this beautiful shot of 270 Park. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and as always, we will see you in the next one, and thank you so much for watching. Take care.